Hey, it's Chuck Armstrong with Loudwire Nights, and this is Loudwire Nights On Demand. We hung out with Mikey Carvajal, frontman of Islander, to celebrate the release of their recent album, Grammy Nominated. This first aired on Monday, July 15th. Here you go. I've said it before, and I will keep saying it. It's a good time to be a fan of rock and roll these days. And tonight's special guest is one reason why I believe that. He's the frontman and founding member of Islander, and he is here to help celebrate the release of his band's fourth full-length album, Grammy Nominated. Mikey Carvajal, thank you so much for hanging, man.
What up, dude? Thanks so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man. So listen, just right into it. There have been 10 years between Islander's first full-length Violence and Destruction and this brand new record, Grammy Nominated. I hear you kind of chuckle, but what goes through your head when you hear that, man?
It makes me feel weird because we're getting to that place where we'll be at a show and some kid will be like, dude, you guys bringing back memories of high school. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean memories? So that's kind of a weird thing. We still feel like the new kids on the block, though, as far, not the band, but we feel like the guys that are still trying to come up and hustling and grinding. With nothing's changed in that area. So, we've toured with the biggest bands in the world at this point, and I feel like we're still the underdogs, and there's something about that I kind of like. So
I was going to say, there is something to that, man, where you have, we're just talking about 10 years of albums. You have more than that as far as experience goes, and just the ups and downs and all of that. And then to still, though, be releasing new music, touring, celebrating, like you've got all that experience driving you. And so to have that sort of, whatever you call it, that underdog mentality, plus that work ethic, plus that experience, plus new music, like sets you guys up in a pretty killer way.
Absolutely, dude. It's weird because this is our first time doing one independently, besides our first independent EP we did back when we first started. But this has been a really fun process where I feel like we're having fun again. Like we feel like we just started a new band or something, and we're like kids again, just meeting up and like playing music for the heck of it. And like, I don't know, like it just feels good to be back at a place where it's not just work. It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
that's amazing, man. I mean, over a decade into it, like to have that feeling of, not necessarily starting over, but rehashing that experience of this is what it's all about. Like what a good reset almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
I love that, man. Well, one thing I've loved about Islander over the years, it's hard to fit you into any box, right? Any one genre or anything like that. It's rock, no question about that. But you cover a lot of ground, and I'd say for fans who haven't spent time with Grammy Nominated yet, you can hear that ground being covered. And I'll just pull out two tracks you released before the album came out. Kind of the bit more melodic "What a Time to Be Alive" to the heavy, relentless "Ritual of Death." Do you enjoy? I mean, I know the answer to this, but I guess why do you enjoy kind of not subscribing to one formula or one way to make your music?
Well, I think it's weird because it's like, I know that like now we've accepted the term alt metal, or I know that some people are saying like, man, you guys are like new metal core or whatever. I'm like, look, you can call us whatever. Just I'm glad you're listening. I don't know. I've just always written in the moment. So I don't go in the studio and think, all right, time to do another one of those same type of albums. So it's like, it's just, there's certain moments that feel one way, and, and other days I feel a different way as far as my mood, wanting to be super heavy or, write something catchy. So I've just never put boundaries on it. I don't feel like art should have boundaries on it. And that's why we've always done that. It's never been like a conscious decision to, say like, let's write these types of songs. It's just what comes out is what comes out. And we try to get out of the way of the process. I know, I've heard other bands say that before, like when I was just like in high school before I was ever in a band. And now I understand it. I'm like, yeah, like the songs kind of write themselves if you get out of the way. Like you can feel where the next part should go. And that's something I love about our band, because not throwing shade, but there's a lot of bands. It used to just kind of be like a pop music thing, but like there's a lot of like rock bands that are having their songs written for them. And I'm just really grateful that we don't do that. Like we sound like Islander because we're the ones writing the songs. It's not like the same five guys in Hollywood. It has the same production and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you turn on the radio back in the day, you don't even have to see the name of it. You're like, oh, that's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. That's a Korn song. That's and you can just hear it automatically. And I feel like that's something a lot of music's missing right now. It's missing just the genuine personality of the individual. So
that's a good way to put it, man. Genuine personality. You know, the word that I always think of, and it's maybe overused, and so it almost loses its meaning. But you know, authentic. That authenticity of this is you through and through, and that is what. Yeah, for decades, I think that's what has made rock and roll so powerful, and why people connect to it, whether it's with their headphones in or at the live show or whatever, because it's not, it's great music and it's fun music, and you headbang to it or you get in the pit or whatever, but also, man, that deep personal connection that can only happen when it's the person singing who's connecting with the listener, or someone in the band connecting with the listener.
Yeah, I feel like if I had people writing my songs for me, like, how am I supposed to sing it with passion? Not that I can't, agree with it or whatever, but like, how could I ever accept an award for it or something like that? Like, I see people accept awards and I'm like, where's the person that wrote the song? Like, why aren't we talking about them, like, getting the award? It's like these are glorified cover bands that are it's like, I don't know. So, and again, not trying to throw shade. We're friends with bands that don't write their own songs, and we clown on them to joke around. But I mean, I'm actually serious too. I'm like, write your own music. Like my brother, he's our bass player, and he always says the same thing. He's like, I don't get it. He's like, why not just let them suck? Like, let the bands that are let the artists that are good, like, be the bands, and then like the bands that like can't write songs and stuff, just like, let them suck. Don't go in there and dress them up and say, now put these rock clothes on and here's your song.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. Yeah, that's it's almost too logical though, but I like that, man. Talking about awards, I got to ask, the name of this album, Grammy Nominated. Are you guys trying to manifest something here, or?
No, kind of the opposite, probably. Yeah. It's honestly, going back to what we were just talking about. So basically where the album title came from, Grammy Nominated, my brother, he was making the joke one day. His name's Chris, by the way, he plays bass. He was making the joke, like, we should put an old lady on the cover, like a grandmother of some kid, and like she's giving an award, because it's like your family. I was always like, oh, it sounds good or whatever. It's like, you don't even listen to this kind of music, grandma. But we looked up the definition of Grammy, and in the dictionary, the definition is someone's grandmother. So we were like, this is really funny. Like, let's make it look like it's like this weird whatever. And like, it almost looks like this satanic cult like album cover where there's this weird ceremony taking place where this creepy old lady's giving a kid some kind of trophy for something, and it says Grammy nominated. But
I love
it's
this.
It's kind of symbolic to what we see not only at the Grammys, like this, not that it's actually satanic, but the evil behind it, that this isn't fan voted. It's a bunch of suits that get together and they vote together and pay each other off and say, all right, my band's going over this year. It's like a wrestling match. Like, how wrestlers get in the back together and they decide who's going to win the match before it starts. Yeah. And then they all act like there's an actual war going on, which I love pro wrestling. But
I know you do.
As far as, so I was going to say, it's just kind of like within music, we've seen that a lot. We've seen these artists accept awards for something that they didn't do. And it's kind of heartbreaking and demeaning to art, to the art form of music, which I take very seriously, as far as, it's changed my life. It saved my life in a lot of ways. And I feel like it's done the same, from what our fans have told us, the stories that we've heard. This is a real thing. It's not just something to, it's not like we're widget salesmen going out and saying, oh, just buy it. Just keep buying it. It's like, no, like, whether we're playing in front of 10 people or we're playing in front of 1,000, we're going to be the same dudes. You're going to get the same show. And, we just care about the authenticity, basically, like what you were saying earlier. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But going back to the record, the record, we actually had AI create the album cover.
Oh, right.
And the reason that we did that is a symbol, because we were noticing a lot of people saying, we've got to stop this artificial intelligence from taking over art. Like, art needs to be genuine. And I'm like, so the people not writing their music are saying this about AI, which is worse, lying about or just not bringing it up that you don't write your own music, or AI. So we're kind of pointing the finger saying, we see you.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are artificial intelligence. Like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So Grammy nominated. Yeah, this idea, I mean, one of the awards itself connected it to AI, but also having grandma's approval too, which I dig, man.
That's right, dude.
The most important, yeah.
Evil granny.
Well, I think we talk about genuine and authentic and all of those words. You hear that throughout the album, certainly with Ritual of Death. It's a really powerful and very, authentic, genuine track that is about, inspired by shedding light on the West Memphis Three. And so I'm going to scratch the surface here. This is going to be very shallow, but for people listening who are unfamiliar, the West Memphis Three were three men who were convicted as teenagers 30 years ago for murdering three boys. There's been a lot of research done on this. DNA and technology has increased over the years. Documentaries are out, and there's been a lot of rock bands who have gotten involved to support the three men. And all of that has come together to basically shed light on misconduct during the investigation, misconduct during the trial, and all of that. And over a decade ago, the three men were released, but their names are still connected to the horrible murders and all of that. And so, again, I'm just skimming the surface here. We could spend hours talking about this, but
Yes.
Mikey, the song and the video, the music video for this focuses on these three men who were wrongly convicted, and then definitely also judged in the court of public opinion. And so, whether it's 1994 when that happened or 2024 when you're releasing the song, it's obviously something that matters to you. The situation, yes. These men, and part of this is raising awareness and helping them clear their name through the Innocence Project and all of this. And so I bring all of that up and I kind of lay that groundwork basically to turn it over to you. And why? Why did you feel compelled, convicted to write this song to raise awareness for the West Memphis Three, and just like give the time and energy and the authenticity, man, to this.
Yeah. So the song, it does have to do obviously with the West Memphis Three, but the three that I'm focused on personally are the 3 8-year-old boys that were murdered. I do believe that justice was not handled correctly, though. Basically, for people listening, the things that were used in the courtroom as evidence to make these the statement that these kids were murderers was stuff like Metallica t-shirts, Stephen King novels, black clothing, black fingernail polish, basically all the things that me and my friends grew up doing. And it kind of connected that, man, like not only could this be me and my friends that got picked up off the street without any evidence proving anything, because it was in 1993, Bible Belt. These kids were the goth before goth was a thing, mainstream, and all of a sudden the whole town's like, they had to have done it. They look satanic. But my brother showed me the documentary, I want to say in 05 or 06. And when the documentary comes on, and I'm sorry, this is kind of a trigger warning for anybody listening. It does have to do with murder of 3 kids. The documentary comes on, actually shows the bodies being pulled out of the ditch. They're naked, hogtied bodies that were mutilated. And I had never seen a dead body other than in a movie or something where it was just like a zombie or something like that, something goofy. And it kind of was like this traumatizing experience of seeing that and it being like, wow, this is real. And ever since that day, I kind of became obsessed with the case. I started reading everything I could find out about it. There's a website called Callahan where you can listen and read all the court documents. You can hear the trials. You can read interviews of random neighbors, that just everything. And I want justice to happen for those 3 8-year-old boys. I also want the 3 men that were convicted exonerated. And as you were mentioning, just for everybody listening, there was something called an Alford plea. They were able to maintain their innocence, but if they confessed guilt, while maintaining their innocence, basically so that they couldn't sue the state. The court said, we'll just let you walk out of prison today. And one of the boys didn't want to do it because he was like, no, we're innocent. You're not just going to get off the hook like that. But he said at the end of the day, when they came to him and they were like, they want all three of you or none of you. It's, you know, if one of you doesn't take this deal, none of you are getting out. And his, you know, friend Damien was on death row, and he said, I can save Damien's life today. And if this thing keeps dragging out, if we keep waiting for the DNA to be tested while we're in prison, the court, you know, the crookedness of this, they can pay $10 to somebody to go take these kids out in prison. So these men now. So it's a lot like what you were saying, but we could talk. Honestly, and that's why people have been talking about it for years. There's so much to the case.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to raise awareness for, in my mind, it's the West Memphis Six. There were six. You know,
the three victims. Yeah. And I think that's right, man. And you are right. And even in my description of it, the focus is on those three men. And so to not just fight or raise awareness for them, but also, hey, let's remember the three innocent 8-year-old boys who lost their lives. Yeah.
Because we just got it to where they just now, the Supreme Court of Arkansas made it to where it's going to be okay now to test the evidence using MVAC technology. So they're going to test the shoestrings the boys were tied up with, and whoever tied those knots, because the knots are still tied, they're going to undo them and check them. Their DNA should still be inside those knots. So even if we can't find the person, or if the person's passed away or something, hopefully we can exonerate the three men that were convicted.
Yeah. Well, man, thanks for sharing all that. And thanks for the song too. And the music video. I mean, man, the music video is pretty powerful and opens with news footage and, you know, kind of commentators talking about this. But the song's Ritual of Death. It's on the new album from Islander called Grammy Nominated. Let's turn gears slightly more positive. And you know, as we wrap up, just, you know, you've got a tour with Lacey Sturm that takes you through July 18th, wrapping up in Birmingham. What's on the horizon for Islander after that, man?
Right now we have some tours that aren't confirmed yet. So I don't want to say them, and then people will be like, wait, it didn't happen, or it did happen, and all of a sudden maybe I'm announcing it before the other band. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
so
totally. Hey, we're used to it on the show, man. But everybody's got all these secrets that they can't share.
And then the other thing, we're working on some 10-year anniversary shows for our first record.
Sweet.
I think we're going to start out with maybe 5 shows, different states, of just kind of you know, not playing the full record front to back, but just kind of playing the hits from that album, the stuff that got us on Guitar Hero and the radio and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously we're really shining a light on where the band's going and the future of the band. So we're going to be playing all the new stuff too. So it's just going to be a fun mix, but we're going to have some reprints of old school merch and stuff like that the fans can pick up and just celebrate that record.
I love hearing that, man. And what a milestone for you guys to be a anniversary band, you know, to be at that point.
I know. It makes me feel weird, bro. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Or I've even had people come up to me that look like adults. I guess they're adults now, but they'll say, dude, my dad used to play you guys in the car all the time when you take me to school. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I feel like we've been a band for 3 years, maybe. I feel like I'm 18.
I love it.
I don't know.
I love it, man. Mikey Carvajal, thank you so much for hanging tonight. Islander's new album is Grammy nominated. Go get it. Listen to every second of it. And then follow them on Instagram at Islander. Simple as that. Stay up to date on everything going on in their world. Mikey, hopefully we can hang again soon, brother. And thanks for being here tonight, man.
Dude, it's an honor. Thank you for having me.
That wraps up this episode of Loudwire Nights on Demand. Stay caught up with everything happening in the world of rock and metal on the Loudwire app and at loudwire.com.